Hey there, Pittsburg. City Commissioner Jeremy Johnson here. Welcome to the second installment of Commissioner's Corner, a series in which I talk about issues facing the city and recent actions taken by the City Commission. The thesis of this series is that Pittsburg, Kansas is an exciting place to be at this moment, and I intend to make that point by informing residents about all the neat stuff that's happening here. So let's get started. So the farmers market is open for the year. At the February 28th City Commission meeting, commissioners voted 3-2 to have the city take over management of the farmers market, primarily because the market had been having financial difficulty and hadn't been making payments on the loan for the market pavilion, as well as 2 years of unfiled property taxes. The city took over the market partly because they have a financial stake in the pavilion from its revolving loan fund, and partly because the farmers market is an important economic and cultural asset, especially in the blossoming downtown district where the market sits. In discussing why the city should take control of market operations, Parks and Rec Director Kim Vogel cited that several other cities in Kansas operate their farmers markets because they see the value these spaces bring to a community. Sure, it's a place where people can buy food, but it's also a place where they can interact with the people growing that food, and with other people also buying that food, and the place where events are held. Just this last Saturday, a jazz band was playing while people shopped, chatted, and ate. It had more in common with a festival than a grocery store. Because the city, unlike most of the people growing and selling their food at the market, has expertise in planning and organizing events, running the market fits perfectly into the list of things that it can be doing for its residents. The soon-to-be-open Frisco Event Center in the old Frisco Freight Depot at 4th and Elm held an open house on Saturday. It showcased an incredibly revitalized space, complete with old rail signs and equipment, chandeliers from the hotel Stillwell, original local brick and woodwork, and a surrounding deck with a view of downtown. It'll be open for events this summer. If my wife and I weren't already married, we'd probably have held our reception there. The city received a pledge from a private donor for a dog park in Pittsburg. The city is now pursuing additional funders for this project. After last week's commission meeting, I had a resident reach out to me regarding the safe routes to school near George Nels Elementary School. He suggested that one of the reasons he wasn't thrilled about having a sidewalk put on his property was that responsibility for maintaining it would fall on him, which he felt was unfair. And in fairness, he has a point. As it stands, the city is in charge of putting in sidewalks, but once the sidewalks are there, it is entirely the responsibility of property owners to keep them maintained, which means keeping them clear of debris and replacing them when they become broken or damaged. During last year's budget session, city commissioners and staff discussed including a provision in the budget which would provide matching funds to residents who want to repair the sidewalks on their property as a way of easing the burden on property owners, as well as encouraging residents to better maintain sidewalks, or even to put in new ones. Now, I personally was hugely in favor of this proposal and fought for it to be included in the budget. However, the majority of the commission, 3 commissioners, didn't share this view, and it was kept out of the budget. But if you think it's a good idea, you should reach out to city staff and commissioners. Their contact information is on the city website, link below, and let them know you want it included in a future budget. As part of last week's consent agenda, the commission voted to submit a $215,000 grant to the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation for an emergency solutions grant, which the city will use to address homelessness. Of the grant, $35,000 will be used for homeless prevention for short-term subsidizing of rent and utilities, which helps keep people in their homes and off of the street. $60,000 will be used to run the day shelter through Wesley House, which provides intensive case management and assistance in eliminating barriers. The largest chunk, $120,000, will be used for rapid rehousing, which helps to get people off of the street and into housing. This funding helps cover rent and utility deposits, as well as the first 3 months of rent and utility assistance. All told, the entire grant will help around 140 households with assistance. Recent data suggests that the cost of doing nothing about homelessness is around $153 per day per person. These costs arise through things like visits to the emergency room and interactions with local police. That means for those 140 households, even if we take household to mean a single person, which is generally not the case, the cost to the community of not doing anything to help them runs at about $7.8 million a year, or about $21,000 every single day. As a comparison, the city's entire annual budget is $50 million. In short, this grant is incredibly cost-effective. Also part of the consent agenda was a provision to expand the part-time assistant to the city's special prosecutor to a full-time position. The city entered into an agreement with the county last year and hired a special prosecutor through the county attorney's office to handle drug-related felony cases. She currently has 160 open cases, and her assistant completes the filing, paperwork, and scheduling related to all of these. The new position, which includes benefits for the assistant, is funded equally by the county and by the city. Finally, last week, Pittsburg experienced serious flooding conditions, and as a result, a power surge caused one of the backup pumps at the wastewater treatment plant to blow out. If it had remained unaddressed, the wastewater plant would have flooded, causing millions of dollars in damage, not to mention the thousands of Pittsburg residents whose basements would have flooded with raw sewage, incurring further insurance costs for the city and to homeowners. Thankfully, a team of about a dozen staff from utilities, street crews, and the wastewater plant worked from midnight until around 9 a.m. on Sunday morning to switch out the blown motor with a replacement from the asphalt plant. Thanks to their hard work and ingenuity behind the scenes, a community-wide disaster was averted, and residents' lives have continued as normal. It's work such as this that makes me proud to serve as a commissioner, knowing that such competent people are working for the good of the community. That's all for this week. If you've got questions, concerns, or suggestions, leave them in the comments or shoot me an email, which is also listed below. You can subscribe to my channel to get notifications for future updates. Until next time, citizens.